holding you back from living, generational curses. Last month, we talked on parenting, and it was chills, spills, and thrills of parenting. And if you are a parent, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. But tonight, we're going to talk about marriage, and the title is Naked and Afraid. But I want to warn you, it might and it might not be exactly what you're thinking I'm talking about. Naked and Afraid. Now, I have to tell you this. I like to do a play on words a lot. I love things that are punny. I've actually never seen the show Naked and Afraid. Never. Have any of you? If you have, just type in yes. I want to know, has anyone actually seen the show? Because I've not. I really don't even know what it's about. I am assuming about being naked and afraid, but that's about it. So let's do this. After you've shared, tell me if you've watched that show or not. I would love to know. I don't even know if it's still airing. So let's talk about it. So we all know this, that marriage is under attack. In the world, in the church, marriage is under attack. We know this. If you don't know, then you're probably not married. How about that? And I wanted to pull up some stats on marriage, and I got so excited just for a moment because the stats on divorce were showing that they have gotten significantly better. There's been a decline in divorce. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like, why isn't nobody talking about this, right? Because we know that the divorce rate in the church has been like the same as in the world. But then I continued to read the stat and found out why the divorce rate has gotten significantly better. It's not because people aren't divorcing, it's because people aren't getting married. And I'm like, no. That took a turn. I didn't see that coming. So it's not that people aren't divorcing, it's that they're not getting married. So of course they're not divorcing, right? They're living together until they're done and then they move. Or move out, move on, whatever. So let's jump in the word real quick. I have no good stats to tell you. I was excited about that until I read the rest of it. I could have just stopped at the beginning, but then it was a lie. So if you go to the Bible, we learned that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then you move on, you see what he did for 6 days. He rested on the seventh. Then he makes man. Okay, so you're caught up with me. From this point is where we start. If you go to Genesis and you start at verse 18 through 20, it says this in chapter 3. God said, it is not good for man to be alone. And then he said, I'll make him a helper. I'll make him a companion. And if you've been raised in church or read the Bible at all, this is familiar. This is no surprise. You know this. So I just want to tell you this one thing. If you read this slowly, you would understand that God has created you to be a helper. That means you're supposed to be a helpmate. But some of us have married a hurt mate. Some of us are a hurt mate, not a helpmate. So you're either helping or you're hurting your mate. I'll leave that with you. We are created to be a helpmate for him. So God made woman from man. We know this. He took a rib, he put Adam to sleep. He's like, take you a little nappy nap, go night-night. I got work to do. I'm going to pull out this rib and I'm going to create something amazing, right? So he created woman from man, but he created her for man. You are a gift. So the next time you walk in a room and your spouse is sitting there, you just simply say, surprise. I mean, every time you walk in that room, surprise. You know, it's like it's his birthday. Every time you walk in, you are a whole gift. You were created for your spouse to be a help. All right? So you just let him know what a gift God has created in you for him. All right. Then we go on and we read that they become one flesh. Focus on the word or the number one, just for a moment with me. Let's dissect this. One, meaning unity. Okay? There is total transparency. The two of them, the man and his wife, in the garden, walking, they are one flesh. They're in complete unity with God. The wind is blowing. The birds are chirping. Adam's already named all the animals. Eve comes in. She is his whole rib. It is beautiful, right? They're in unity. There's transparency there. Then we understand that in that unity, in that transparency, they're naked. Right? Sin had not entered into the word yet, the world, or the word that we read. There's no sin. So they're naked, but they felt no shame. No shame in front of each other or with God. Sin had not entered yet. So they're naked, they're in unity, there's transparency, they're walking together. Life is good. They're in the garden. Sin had not happened yet. And then we move on a little further and we know the serpent goes to Eve. This is when things start to change. The serpent lies to Eve. He tricks Eve. And first of all, what is Eve doing listening to the devil? Well, Eve, you're watching and you listen to the devil too. I wanted to blame her for so many things, but then I think, how many times have I entertained the lies of the enemy too? How many times have I been Eve, right? How many times have I partaken of that one thing that I knew I shouldn't have? So we really can't blame Eve because we're a lot like her. I'm just saying, I'll leave that there too. So she ate the fruit. Then we move on. We find that she gave Adam fruit, and then he ate the fruit as well. Then you fast forward. It says this, immediately, the two of them saw exactly what was going on. They saw themselves naked. This is what happened. Sin comes. Their eyes are open and they see each other for what is really going on. There's total transparency in this moment. They sewed the fig leaves together to make clothes for themselves. He was totally exposed in this moment. He wanted to try to cover himself up. She wanted to hide from him. She did not want him to see her in this state, right? So they're trying, it's a whole cover up happening here in the Bible. And for folk who read the Bible and say it's boring, you're not reading the Bible. I'm telling you, the Bible is full of juicy gossip and scandals. And right now we're reading a whole cover up. It is good. Y'all just ain't reading. It is so good. So many things. So there's a whole cover up going on, wanting to hide, not be seen. And then we go into verse number 8 and it said, when they heard the sound of God strolling in the garden in the evening breeze, the man and his wife hid in the trees of the garden. First of all, that's funny. Like, as if you could hide from God. Like, for real. Like, think about it. It's just crazy. I'm a visual learner, so I see this stuff for what it is, like with each other. And when they were in unity with the Lord, they were totally seen, right? Totally seen. They had no problem being naked and they were not afraid. But when Adam and Eve fell from unity and they fell into sin, they were naked. What does that mean? They were exposed. They were transparent. They were seen. They were vulnerable. And they were very afraid. They were ashamed. And that's why they wanted to cover up. Why do you try to cover your sin? You're ashamed. You're Adam, you're Eve, right? Did you know that we were not created with the ability to feel fear or shame? Until sin was chosen, the consequences followed suit. But we were not designed and created to feel that. They were already naked walking around and had no issue. They were in unity. They were transparent. Eve knew Adam and Adam knew Eve, and there was no issue there until sin hit. The first time fear is mentioned in the Bible is right there when it says, Adam showed fear and shame in verse 10. He said, and then I heard the voice of God in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. Listen to me. I was afraid because I was naked. In other words, God saw what I did. He saw me. I was seen and I hid myself, it says. So let's talk about what it means to be naked and afraid within marriages. I mean, this is like the perfect basis. This is a perfect example. This is it right here, right? Naked again means to be uncovered, undisguised. And I'm not talking about just physically. Now, some of y'all in your marriage find yourself being naked and afraid in the physical, right? Like turn the lights off, cover up, all the things. Yeah, that's a whole nother subject right there. And that's marital counseling stuff. I'm talking about emotionally and spiritually, not just physically. Nude is what you're thinking when I say naked. Nude means to be without clothes on, okay? But I'm talking about being naked, being uncovered. Hear me in the spirit. Being totally transparent, vulnerable, being seen, okay? Who wants to uncover their mistakes? Who wants to be seen? Who likes to have the light, it's like a, what's the name of that kind of a light? Spotlight put on them at that moment in the garden. That's really what it felt like, or that's what I imagine. So let's back up. So Adam and Eve went from walking